What can be done to slow down Jimmy Butler other than his ankle injury, which occurred at the end of game one?
That right there. You got to beat Jimmy Butler up. You got to beat him up.
Another day, another dollar. Back.
And you know what make me want to holla?
Back with Roscoe Rasheed Wallace. That's what she said. New episode, NBA playoffs. A lot going on in the world to discuss. And it's been we've been off for a week and a half, Sheed. What have you been up to? Where you been at?
Oh man, I've been down in Memphis training my young guy KJ Williams, and getting him ready for the draft and hoping he do good things.
And when you say training, I mean that's obvious because I know what you're doing. But to the people watching this, what does that entail? You live in the city. Are you mentoring the kid off the court as well as on the court, or are you just in there grinding with him? Just teaching him X's and O's in the gym, and then he leaves and just meets you back. What's that day like?
D, all of the above. We work out twice. Once in the morning about 9:30 to maybe about 10:30. Then come back again in the evening at 5:30. So it's just getting his body used to that NBA grind. When you start training camp, you go on twice a day. So if you're not used to it, then it really could, one, break your body down, then two, hurt you. But he's been doing pretty well. They had a few games up in Portsmouth where he did well. So I'm just hoping my guy gets his name called. That'll make his dreams come true.
And how does this match work? Because I imagine there are aspiring basketball players across the world that would line up around the block to be coached and mentored by you. Is it a personal connection? Is it through your agency? Do you just find a kid that you like their game and you say, you know what, I want to help you out. I just like the kid. How do the stars align that this individual ended up in a gym with you?
A little of both. I started working with KJ through my agent. That's our mutual connection. But since then, it's sort of like, I've become a mentor to him. I just try to tell him and show him how, hey, look, you're on that next level now, so you got to do things, you got to travel a little bit different than when you did when you were in college. And I think he's ready. He's a little bit more mature because he's older, and he has a young daughter, so that, of course, puts him at a different hunger and maturation level. So, like I said, I just hope my guy gets his name called up there in, next month in June.
Fair enough. KJ is the name. We will see, hopefully, him on an ESPN broadcast for the draft coming up, and you'll know where it came from. That viral video of Sheed in the gym giving out Sheed coaching lessons. I believe that was the kid, if I'm not mistaken, that hopefully that helps him climb up the stock ladder. All right, before we dive into today's show, we like to start off every episode with what I call a moment in time. I pick a date. I have Sheed kind of brainstorm, go back, and try and figure out exactly what it is. We have done the obvious ones. We have done the sneaky ones and everything in between. We touched on some playoff series now that we're out of round one, and we'll eventually get to round two. But today, Sheed, I found something in the archives that may be quite difficult for you to remember, but the date is June 9th. You're thinking it's finals. It's not going to be finals. June 9th, 2016. 7 years ago. What the hell were you doing? You were well out of the NBA by then. What was Sheed up to in June of 2016?
Man, I know I was at that time I was the biggest Detroit Country Day fan in the world because my youngest son Nazir was playing on the basketball team, so that was his senior year. His junior year. Wow, 06 June. 2016 June. Wow. I don't know. You got me stumped right there with that one.
This one's going to be tough. Do all of you watching this know that Rasheed Wallace is an author? And you debuted your children's book on this day. I believe what was a Sacramento local news affiliate. Honey, Do, and Mary Lou. How did this become a thing? Written by Rasheed Wallace. I would have never guessed it 1,000 years. But here we are.
Oh, yeah. That was my thing, man. My guy Sadler Ward, another Philly native. He's a hell of a illustration artist. He's been doing artwork and paintings and graffiti and a whole bunch of other things for movies and videos for sheesh. I want to say for about 25 or 30 years. So I teamed up with him and he just told me, he said, "She, give me your idea." So I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. Boom, boom, bang. And about maybe 2-3 weeks later, he came back with these two characters, Honeydew and Mary Lou. So Honeydew and Mary Lou is named, well, they're my daughter and my niece. Honeydew is my daughter and Mary Lou is my niece. And that's about that age where, you wish I could keep my daughter that age forever because she was just adorable and cute and like, oh, I was just melting all over her like butter on pancakes. So that was me immortalizing her at that age. And, just wanted to come out with a few books dealing with that. And our whole gist of these books are to teach life lessons. It doesn't matter what color you are, black, white, orange, pink, blue, purple. Guess what you had to do when you was about, 5, 6 years old? You had to learn how to tie your shoe. Again, I don't care if what you do in life, what you became, whatever. You had to learn how to tie your shoe and a few other things when you were adolescent at that age. So now, that's all we teaching in the book. My buddy drew illustrations on how to make the bunny ears, and we just tried to be different with our children's book. We put a glossary back there, so now kids know the meaning of some of the 5-letter or more words that are in this children's book.
This is what I love doing this. One of the reasons why I love doing this show so much with you, because as the highlights run over the top here, there is other sides to Sheed, and I'm glad we get to show that to you on this program. But we know why you're here. It's to talk basketball at some point, and I would love to start doing that now. That when we're filming this, it is the morning after Stephen Curry has just set the NBA record for most amount of points scored in a Game 7 in NBA history. If he retired last year, after last year's championship, he would have gone down as one of, if not the greatest point guards of all time. We're talking about first team all NBA ever if it wasn't for Magic Johnson. I want to get your initial thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns regarding the greatness that is Stephen Curry.
He did what he was supposed to do. He did nothing short of what we all expected. What do we all would expect when we see Steph? He gonna bang at least 4 or 5 threes. He's gonna make a couple guys look silly by running around some screens and dribbling and this and that, just moving without the ball, hitting threes. We already knew that. But here's the thing that he did. He just pretty much stamped that. You know what I'm saying? He had to go out there and do that. Look, it's your team, Game 7. You got the young pups right here, the upstarts, they're coming. Like, how good would that have looked for Sac if they would have beat? That would have been great for them. But we all know it's the biggest story. The Sac has a great story. They had a great year. They ended their playoff drought, but the Warriors, their encyclopedia is a little bit more redefined, and they still have some more things to do. One, they are the repeating champs. So to me, it was nothing surprising to see him go out there last night and bust ass, yo. I got to tip my hat to De'Aaron Fox. Man, that young fella, he showed his ass. For sure, he showed his ass this series. And he made it hard for Steph on both sides of the court. You know what I'm saying? Because Steph had to guard him. And De'Aaron, look, hey, what's the best defense? Is the offense. So if I can get Steph in foul trouble, get him out the game, that's slowing down that whole Golden State offense. So that was their mentality. And Mike Brown had all the cues and the ins and outs, the nooks and crannies of that Warriors team. But, they just fell a little bit short because of a guy named Steph Curry. And like I said, it was nothing surprising. He did what he was supposed to do. He did what all-stars and leaders and captain of the teams do. Period.
So I will interpret that as a compliment that he did what he was supposed to do, because we expect greatness from Steph Curry, and because he's so good, you're almost disappointed if he doesn't deliver. There's no happiness, just relief. That's what happens when the bar is set that high. But I'd like to push back a little bit, because when you say that's what we expect him to do, no one quite literally has ever scored 50 points in a game 7 before, including Steph Curry himself in some pretty memorable. So this was above and beyond any expectation, even with that said bar set so high. So to me, I know it's just the first round and it wasn't the finals. And he's had some stinkers in game 7s in the past, because everyone has, let's be honest. But this particular game, De'Aaron Fox will not be remembered in this series because they lost, but he was going shot for shot. And the reason why Steph Curry had to drop 50 sheet is because Fox was there every other time at the other end with his patented snatch back, pull up, nail on the free throw line, jump shot. And they just kept going in, and the game was close. And ultimately, he fell short. But yeah, he made it to the main stage in these playoffs. On the contrary, and this is what I want to start inquiring and interrogating you about, because you may have some experience in this field. But I watched every single Sacramento Kings game this regular season. Domantas Sabonis is shooting 37+% from three-point land, which was his career high. He was drilling mid-range jump shots left and right, and he's going to make third-team All-NBA sheet because of how damn good he was. We get to this series against the Warriors, and he's getting treated by Draymond Green and Kevon Looney like he's Ben Simmons with his jump shot, and he's refusing to take 10-footers. I want you to I know you're not in the body of Domantas Sabonis, but shit, you played with his dad before. You know what it's like to just not have it and not want to shoot. Like, what the hell happened to Sabonis, man? I don't know.
Wow. I mean, me neither. They definitely needed him. He was definitely, of course, the biggest guy out there. No disrespect to Looney, but if Sabonis would have went into his package, it would have been a different ball game. You know, and he showed flashes of it throughout the series. You know, just a couple nice little post moves. Didn't do a whole lot of dribbling. Look, I got the ball, my one dribble, two dribble, boom, boom, and it's a jump hook or a jump shot. But I think it was the big stage, man. I think it was the big stage. You know, the bright lights, you know, that popcorn, when it smells a little bit different when it's playoff time. Them shots is a little bit different. You know, assholes get a little bit tighter around that time. So it's like, if he wasn't going to shoot, or if he was shooting poorly, okay, that happens. That's part of it. That happens. But here's what he should have done, though. On that other end, if I'm not shooting, or if I'm missing my shots, well, shit, I'll be damned if Looney gonna score, or if Looney gonna be getting all these rebounds, or this or that. I gotta make up for it in other ways. No matter if it's blocks, rebounds, steals, you know, that hustle award. I can make up for it in other ways if I'm shooting bad. And that's the one thing that he has to reset to, is the simplicity of it. I mean, that's just plain and simple. If I can't score, you can't score. Bottom line. Because obviously you're doing something, no matter if I'm shooting terrible or you're playing good D, hand in the face, or making it hard for me to score. Obviously you're doing your job. All right, so now I got to do my fucking job down the other end. So you can't score it in. So both of us going to be some struggling motherfuckers tonight. But guess what? I gotta pick it up in other ways. Hey, set harder screens. Keep running around. Being that battery, setting screens. Again, block shots, rebound, the hustle plays, the little things. And I think it was the big stage that pretty much got him, you know, because he was looking at his teammate. De'Aaron Fox is out there. He stepped up to the challenge. And I would say talent-wise, Sabonis stepped up to the challenge. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to factor in Draymond Green being Draymond Green, and you got to factor in Looney being Looney, because those were the bigs who we pretty much had to guard for this series. And then I think it changed the series too with that whole incident with Draymond stepping on his chest. Maybe, I don't know, because he wasn't the same since that. So
it really wasn't.
I don't know.
And to your point, it wasn't he was shooting and missing. It wasn't he wasn't even looking at the rim, man. He was 10, 12 feet away from it and wouldn't pull the trigger. And I'm like, you were making that all season. I just don't understand, unless it's a mental thing. Maybe there's an injury that occurred that we don't know about, with either getting stepped on or he had a hand issue. But I don't think that's enough to not. Why are you on the floor if you're not shooting wide open 10-footers? And then that changes the entire dynamic of how the Kings run their offense because you're playing 4-on-5 with someone cheating off of Sabonis that gets to play a free safety center field position. And now Draymond, anytime that someone cuts and slashes, he's waiting there because he's not guarding Sabonis. Why would I? He doesn't even shoot. That shit put
So
everything on its head.
Yeah. This is where we're gonna see if he's that type of player that we think he is. You know, we're gonna see what he do next year. That's the only thing we can say.
Let's talk about someone who's on the other end of this bright lights playoff spectrum, and that's Jimmy Butler. What can be done to prevent Jimmy Butler from reaping souls? Because I swear, even up 3-1, I'm sitting here saying publicly, I don't know how the Heat win another game in this series with the way that they're structured, how good the Bucks are. And yet it's the very next game because Jimmy Butler just lives up to the moment better than anyone else. And I've asked you this question in the past, Sheed, and you've told me you're going to, everyone's different, but you're going to either one, give them dare shots if they're injured and you want to see if they can make several. You start going under screens. You've talked about, I'm going to give them a little extra chicken wing. None of these are seeming to work with Jimmy Butler. And you played against Kobe Bryant alongside Shaquille O'Neal during the absolute peak of the three-peat. You have this absolute psychopath out there who does not seem to be affected by anything. So I'd like to ask you, what can be done to slow down Jimmy Butler other than his ankle injury, which occurred at the end of game 1? You
got to beat Jimmy Butler up. You got to beat him up.
They've tried.
Yeah, they got to put some bruises in there. You know, Tibbs got to go down. He got to look down to the end of that bench like this and go with that 12th, 13th man. Hey, I need you to go in there. You know, rough him up. Now, when I say that, people, I don't mean to go in there and deliberately hurt the man or anything like that. No, but just a little bit more aggressive than your starting defender on him, than the guy who's starting on him. So, you know, he's going in there. Yeah, he's deliberately going in there to foul, okay, but not going in there to hurt nobody. So I just want to, you know, set that straight for y'all because I don't want y'all to think like, damn, she ruthless. He telling cats to go in there and hurt him. So no, it ain't nothing like that. So it's like the strategy. You know, it's kind of sort of like baseball. You know how if I'm a first baseman, I'm a heavy hitter. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big dude. Well, 9 times out of 10, what is the manager going to do? He's going to get that pinch runner in there because I'm not fast enough, right? Especially if we need the extra bag or something. So it's the same thing with basketball. I'm looking down the end of the bench. I got the guy who doesn't really play a lot of minutes. I got to put him in this game. For now, I'm not looking for no offense from him. You go in here and you make this shit hard for him. You give him the extra couple aggressive fouls and all of that. That was the way that we pretty much tried to slow people down when I was playing. Who were big scorers. You know, you got to just rough them up a little bit. And again, you're not trying to hurt them, but it's all part of the game.
So the ankle injury occurs with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Knicks are still in the game. And to see them go 5 game minutes, which is the equivalent of 15 to 20 real minutes, and you've sprained your ankle before, I've sprained my ankle before, it gets progressively worse over time, but you have that little buffer zone of adrenaline is pumping, you tie your shoe up even tighter, and you go through it and you keep it warm because the moment you take it off, it's going to explode. And Thibodeau not only doesn't isolate Jimmy Butler and put the pressure on him to have to use his ankle and his leg to defend, but I'm watching Jalen Brunson call for a screen while Jimmy Butler's on the ball and overcomes the screen. And guess what Jimmy Butler can do? He can just switch, grab onto the guy, and follow Josh Hart to the corner, and now he's out of the play.
And be safe, yep.
So being a Knicks fan and knowing that Jimmy's going to try and tough this out, I feel bad for him. But if he's going to stay on the floor, you got to treat him like a wounded gazelle and go at him. And the Knicks never really did once, and they escaped with a victory there because Jimmy couldn't even reach over to get a rebound. He was just out there being a decoy practically, and you didn't put him through the grind. So when you're doing this and talking about giving him, elbows and ankles, I'm if he plays in game 2, I just have to see him for at least 20 minutes defend as well as he does on the other side on offense sheet. And I think, of course, he's not I don't think he's immortal. I think he's got blood running through his veins and not adamantium like Wolverine does. And if that ankle injury is as bad as it looked, because that when he rolled that shit, man, that looked terrible. That you can really got to put that to the test, and the Knicks are doing themselves a disservice if they don't at least try in the first half while they still have time to make up if it doesn't work. So I think the answer might be we got to get Jimmy loves to play in the mud. He's proved that. He wants to get his claws into you and drag you into the deep end. But if you're banged up like this, and there are plenty of Knicks that can hold their breath under that deep water too, just like you, Jimmy. They didn't do that in game one, and that's the biggest letdown to me is I don't feel like they put Jimmy to that test. Do you concur?
Yeah, for the most part, because it's like if you see a guy get injured to that severity, and he stays in the game, it's like, all right, well, shit, we're gonna take advantage of it. Yeah, I'm putting him in all pick and rolls. Whoever he's guarding, I'm gonna make that man run from the deepest part of the corner or the other 3-point line. And set that screen. I'm going to force Jimmy to switch. You got to go at him. You got to attack him. And on offense, I'm going to make him drive. And what I mean by that, y'all, is just be up on him. Don't give him the jump shot. You got to be crowding him. So then that way you crowding him, he's going to do one of two things. He's going to try to jab or whatever, which could be putting pressure on that ankle, or you're going to force him to go one way. And that's what you want, to try to put as much pressure on that ankle as he can, because Jimmy is athletic as hell now. So this could hinder that athleticism a little bit. I'm not sure how the ankle is now, with as far as with them having a day off and with the ice and what kind of treatment he's doing. But, hopefully he'll be ready to come out there for game 2, because I think it's a classic matchup, man. It's a classic Knicks Heat matchup. Only thing we missing is Pat Ewing and Alonzo Mourning out this piece. You know what I mean? So it's going to make for some great basketball if he's out there. But, of course, if he's not out there, if he won't be able to go for this game 2, then, obviously then you got to look at the Knicks maybe getting advantage of that right there, because that's taking a lot of defense and offense away from Miami if Jimmy isn't playing.
And at the very least, jamming up on defense like you discussed, if you're in his grill as he drives, he's going to have to jump at some point, and you have to think if the injury is that bad, he's going to be cognizant of that when he lands. What if I land on my right leg and I roll it again and my shit snaps in half? Is he such a tough guy and a psychopath that if I'm out there, I'm not even thinking about it? He's probably one of few that I would think maybe he can just separate it, but he's human. And if he's exposed in the air and he's got Knicks defending all around him, at some point, is his shot going to be affected by just the fact I have to land and I have to worry about the ankle getting exposed amongst a whole bunch of proximity mines of other shoes and feet below me? We'll see moving forward. But I want to stay on this topic and tap your personal experience on this, because now I want to discuss the broader topic, the wide scope lens of this. Because I imagine at some point you've had an injury in your career. You're a tough guy. You've been in playoffs and championships. And you're also, importantly, everyone in the NBA at some point was the best basketball player in the gym and or the city and or the state. You don't make the NBA unless you're that. So everyone's naturally has an ego. And I'm using this as the context to the question because the topic is going to be playing through injuries. And you've had one, and let's use sprained ankle or sprained wrist, or in De'Aaron Fox's case, a broken finger on your shooting hand. At what point does you trying to show that you're a tough guy result in diminishing returns? Like, I want to be out there. The ankle isn't going to hold me back. The finger's not going to hold me back, but the rest of the team is starting to realize, bro, you don't got it tonight. We appreciate the effort, but is it up to you, the player, to let the coaching staff and the training staff know I just can't do this anymore? Because I'm looking at the Miami Heat bench here, Sheed. When Jimmy Butler goes down, they have Spoelstra, Quinn, even Udonis. They have all these assistant coaches who are looking at each other as if, who's going to be the one to tell Jimmy you can't go back in there? They're scared shitless of what Jimmy's going to say back to them. And I imagine you at some point were in the same boat. Like, you take me out of this, I will kill you. I will come for you and your family. But I just want to hear from you, maybe an instance throughout your career where you went above and beyond to stay in a game. And do you regret it because you weren't able to fulfill your full maximum talent potential?
Actually, I don't regret it to this day. I didn't really have a real bad injury. Thank the Most High while I was playing. I would say the worst injury I had came late in my career when I broke my foot with the Knicks. But I would say when I first got traded to Detroit, first road game, we were in Orlando, and here I am. I'm out there on the floor finally, and I get a steal. We trap. We do a half court trap, and I get a steal. So I'm like, I'm all excited. I'm like, man, it's a whole new feeling. I just left Portland. It's a whole new group of guys that I'm working with right now. So I was excited. So what do? I try to get fancy and do a running windmill. Boom! I made the dunk, but damn, I tore my fucking plantar fasciitis, right? So I came there right away. I knew something was wrong, so I was like, yo, come get me. So we went on. I got my treatment and everything. I was out for the next couple of games. I got my treatment and everything. And going into the playoffs, it was a 45-minute tape job for me to be able to play on my left foot with this snap planters. So the tape job was almost like a semi-cast where I couldn't put my whole foot down. It was like I was pretty much on my toes from this tape job. So, because if I put my foot down that flat, that's what, killed the bottom of that foot. But that whole playoff run, I had to go to the gym, even for practice. I had to go to the gym like about an hour earlier because it was a 45-minute tape job. And after every game, oh my gosh, it was fucking excruciating. Taking that tape off, and my foot was just throbbing. And I stick it right there in that ice. And, of course, that would make it feel a little bit better. But, man, to this day, my foot bothers me when it rains. It's chilly in the air. My foot fucks me up. But, hey, it was all worth it because I got that hardware. And that made all my injuries worth it that I'm dealing with today. Let me tell you that much. But you got to be able to play through. And then you as a player know. If are you hurt or are you injured? It's the difference. Now, if I'm like, all right, I'm going out there and I feel like I can do it, and then as you just said, my teammates like, yo, then I gotta listen to them. You know what I'm saying? No matter how bad I want it, I gotta listen to them. I gotta listen to my trainer. Or the team doctors for whatever the injury or case may be. I gotta listen to them on this. Like they know if I tweaked my ankle or like, damn, I went up for a layup and I came down and I fucked my elbow up, but they like, all right, like, oh, he's good. We know we're not too worried about that. But when it comes to the more serious injuries, if you've been on a team to where, the doctors, physicians, and all that staff know you and the other players, then they know you ain't no punk. So you ain't got nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to, go with the flow, listen to them. Because now if not, then you could be fucking yourself up for later.
All right, TBD on these injuries as they progress throughout the playoffs to star players. I'm also old enough to remember just 2 years ago when Giannis, I think, we still don't know technically if he tore his knee in that finals and he was out there playing with a torn knee with his 50-20 closeout game. That could be a thing we find out at a later point on a podcast when he's 50 years old.
Or a book or some shit, yeah.
Right. He may not have said anything about it, but guys are playing through injuries. And that balance of being a detriment to your team is, I think, is a storyline which will become more and more prominent as the star players continue to play through injuries. So let's transition to the next topic here, and it's one that hits home for me because I'm sitting on sheet. I have a huge bet on the Phoenix Suns to win the Western Conference and the NBA championship. I was doing a show when the Kevin Durant news dropped, which occurred at like 2 a.m. Eastern. So I was actively online, and you have about 30 to 45 seconds to get bets down before the bookmakers will take the line down and change it to the appropriate number. So I was able to get down the old Phoenix Suns, the pre-Kevin Durant number, as much money as I possibly could. So now, obviously, I'm rooting for the Suns because I'd like to profit off of their transaction, and I do believe that they have the most firepower in the Western Conference. But that's the context to this question. is I came into this series dreading the Nikola Jokic versus DeAndre Ayton matchup. And while Ayton is a number 1 overall pick, he has proved to be a legitimate starting center. He's extremely talented. He's a big guy. There are several things that just drive me up the wall and make me want to pull my gray hair out. The first of which is something that I speak about this on the postgame show, and I get to use you as my source/reference because I call DeAndre Ayton walrus hands. Do you know what walrus hands look like? Do you know what walrus hands look like? They don't have hands. They have flippers. And every time this man catches the ball in the post, here's a more appropriate analogy. Hot Hands from the movie Little Giants, the guy with the tar on his chest who can't catch anything besides the roll of toilet paper. When DeAndre Ayton catches the ball in the post, it is almost a natural reaction for him to bring it down to his hip. And as a result, he gets stripped, he fumbles it. And I'm like, I would love for Rasheed Wallace to get into this guy's ear and have him hold a medicine ball above his head and run a mile like Sheed was told to do in high school, and why he never got stripped because he just held the ball above his head. And DeAndre Ayton is the antithesis of this, Sheed. So I would love to hear your takeaways from game 1 and or maybe just a series outlook on what DeAndre Ayton needs to do to not be a liability to the point that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul are having to come back from double-digit deficits because we don't have anyone that can keep Jokic from going off.
Well, here's the thing with that matchup. Number 1, you got to be real with yourself. It's not no real matchup. Okay? We already know the offensive repertoire that Joker got. Aiden, again, as you said, yes, in reference to number 1 pick. So, yes, he is talented. But he's not a big offensive talent. And what you need him to do right here, you're not going to be able to stop Joker. You got to be able to slow him down. That's one of the things like rest in peace Code. One of the things we said in Portland when we were playing against the Lakers, like, look, we're not going to stop Kobe. We know this motherfucker going to get 25. We got to slow him down, make it hard for him, make him earn it. Don't give him no easy buckets. And that's what Aiden has to do. That's what DA got to do to Joker. You got to slow him down. Hey, a couple hard fouls here and there, where Joker will give him a dirty look. Hey, whatever. Fuck it. Keep playing. But you got 6 fouls. So, and then on the offensive side of things, they're not looking for DA to be that offensive prowess. No. Because, look, the kid, we already know he's not that good of an offensive talent, but the man can dunk. He can make a layup, you know what I'm saying? And I give him like about a good 4-foot baby hook. That's what you need from him. So every time Devin Booker, CP, KD, any of the guards shoot, you got to go to the board. I don't care where you at on that floor. You got to go to the board because 9 times out of 10, with the way that Phoenix moved that ball, Aiden doesn't have Joker on him. So you got to go to the board every time. Hey, tip in or tip out. You know what I'm saying? Collect the rebound, go back up strong, whatever the case may be. That's where he has to be effective at on that offensive end. On the defensive end, yeah, guess what? You're going to get your ass bust. But here's the thing. You got to make it hard for Joker. You can't just, how the fuck you going to let Joker outrun you? Like, come on, y'all. Like, damn. Like, granted, the man isn't the fastest, but, he is kind of fast for his size. I would say he has underestimating speed, I guess. Mm-hmm. But he's a hell of an offensive talent. So, DA, just try to slow him down. You ain't got to sit up here and be a bona fide stop every time this man get the ball because it's not going to happen. He's too talented. And he takes you out on the 3. All right, he takes you out on the 3. Well, then you got to punish him on the other end. You got to do something to make him notice you. Pick that energy up, rebound, tap out rebounds. Shit, set fucking 6 or 7 screens in one possession. But you got to get him moving. I got to do something to make it an even playing field because I know I can't deal with him on the offensive end. I just got to try to slow him down. And that was always our main thing. Again, as I said, when we played the Lakers, Try to slow Kobe down. Try to slow Shaq down. We know they gonna get their buckets, but try to slow them down. Put the body in front of them. Give them a hard ass foul out of nowhere. Get their mind out the game. Do something.
So this is what drove me nuts also in the first round series between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, because I picked the upset and now I look to made a fool because I was under the hypnosis of what I saw in Los Angeles with what Karl Anthony Towns did in the first half against Anthony Davis. I haven't seen him get that nasty down low, and I'm like, thank God this guy finally realized how big, strong, quick for his size he is, and he's using it. And I thought that if we get that version of Karl Anthony Towns in the series against the Nuggets, it's going to put Nikola Jokic to work on defense unlike anything he's seen, and he's going to get his on offense. But if we force Joker, regardless of all of these advanced analytics, which suggest that Jokic is this high-profile, A-list individual defender, I personally don't believe that to be true. I think he's a part of a great
Hell
defense.
no.
He's never been tested, Sheed, down low. And you got to give the Nuggets defense credit for keeping Karl Anthony Towns out. But never once in that series did I say, Cat, just say, give me the damn ball. I'm going to put the pressure on the referees and Nikola Jokic to play defense and or officiate it without foul calls. Because when you settle for 30-foot step backs outside the three-point line, I don't care if you shoot 40+% like Karl does and Gobert is standing down there so there's a clogged toilet. I didn't see it once, and that's what pissed me off in that first game sheet against Jokic. I didn't see it from Ayton either. And the one weakness that the Nuggets may have on the defensive side, we can't even tell if it is a weakness because no one will try it. So Ayton, I'm begging you, get nasty, even if it's just for a half of one game, to see if Jokic is up to the challenge of having to defend a guy his size, his weight, his height individually. Is that so much to ask?
At the end of the day, it got to be that. It got to be.
I had this question written down. By the way, this can be a quick answer. But Damian Lillard was sitting courtside in Brooklyn for the 76ers and Nets series, and people were making a big deal out of it because anytime a player from an eliminated team shows up to a game and sits courtside, people are thinking like, oh, he wants to force his way out to play for the 76ers or the Nets. And then we of course come to find out he was in New York on business. We see Kyrie Irving sitting courtside for Lakers versus Grizzlies in Game 6. And as I'm not an NBA player, nor am I an NBA player who has ever gone into free agency before and or potentially wanted to be traded. But did you ever pull some shit like this, that you showed up in the offseason to a certain city just to say, I'm here, I'm not saying anything, I'm not doing anything, but I'm just wanted to let y'all know I'm here in case someone wanted to talk? Or was this not a thing? Do we put this to rest?
No, they putting too much on it. They putting too much on it because number one, here's the thing you got to look at. It's fucking New York City. Like, damn, look how much other shit go on in New York besides a fucking basketball game. Yeah, right. Dane could be up there on business. Shit, he could be filming a movie. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. Shit, the movie scene could have been at the game. Yeah. We don't know. So yeah, people put too much smoke into it. Like it ain't even that serious, yo. When you see that happen out there, this ain't football.
Yeah, good to know. I had that feeling too, but it's nice to hear that you never did a PR move of placing yourself into a playoff game and just, Rasheed's at the Lakers game. Is he going to join? It's good comment talk, but I don't think anyone's taking it seriously, so that's good too.
At all.
Final segment of our show is called Respect the Game. This is where I have Rasheed educate the audience on a player that you may have heard about in the past, may not have been alive to appreciate or watch or know the influence that they have on today's generation. So without further ado, I would like to ask Rasheed, who is today's Respect the Game character?
Today's Respect the Game player is Andrew Toney. Wow. And I'm doing that today because of my 7'6" dudes, you know what I'm saying? But Andrew Toney went to the University of Louisiana. He was the 8th pick overall by the Sixers in the 1980 draft. He had a short-lived career in the NBA, though. He played 8 years, all for Philadelphia, but he And he's an NBA champion. Excuse me. Let me get that out there first too. In '83, when my Sixers won a championship, but he's been known to have some awesome key highlight moment games against the Boston Celtics. So in Philadelphia, we nicknamed him the Boston Strangler. And every time, going against Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, here's this guy nobody ever heard of, Andrew Toney, killing him. Got a strong J, killing him. And his career was cut short because, and this is another like wild factor, which I never fucking heard of. His career was cut short because he had two, not one, two stress fractures in his feet. Hence how his teammates gave him the nickname Feets. So in Philadelphia, his name is Andrew the Boston Strangler Feets Toney. So if he's somewhere and somebody call him Feets, then it's a pretty good, cool nickname. But man, he was a hellacious defender, shooter, could shoot the lights out the ball, and I think he was a good piece for the Sixers to go alongside of that Dr. J, that Moses Malone, Mo Cheeks trio. And throw him and Bobby Jones in there, that made it a good solid squad for us to get that championship in '83. So today's respect the game player is Andrew the Boston Strangler or Feets Toney.
There you have it. Andrew Toney. I would have never guessed he had the nickname Feets, but that's why we do this segment. And hopefully some people moving forward here, if you ever catch Andrew Toney in the street, you yell Feets, you might get a little salute. So that's good to know. For this episode of That's What Sheet Said, we have a lot to look forward to here, particular series, particular injuries.
Basketball.
Yeah, we'll keep, we'll keep ourselves honest too, and we'll kind of grade our takes or what we assumed or guessed was going to happen next with these particular players and Jimmy Butler and DeAndre Ayton and Nikola Jokic's defense. I'll be first to fall on my sword if Jokic is out there and proves that he is the rim defender like the number says he is. But we'll address that all here in the near future. So for Roscoe Rasheed Wallace, I'm Rob Perez, World Wide Wob. We will see you on the timeline.